Screen, we are live on DSTV channel 279. Let's begin with some politics because it promises to be exciting as the NPP heads to the polls on Saturday to elect candidates in constituencies where they have seat in Parliament. Ahead of the race, my colleague Marina Egbata of the political desk brings to you the top contests in constituencies that have earned the right as battlegrounds.
A 137 constituencies will be up for grabs in the governing New Patriotic Party's upcoming primaries. That number will be whittled down with the number of the candidates going unopposed. As with these contests, it promises to be an epic battle all through. But here are some key constituencies you should be looking out for come January 27. We start with Dom Kwabenya. A repeat of the 2020 contest in June will see incumbent Sarah Joasafo go head-to-head against Ambassador Michael Quay Jr. The renewed hostilities becomes even more interesting with the polls from Global Info Analytics predicting a possible win for Mike Oquay Jr. Bantama, in the heart of the stronghold of the NPP, will be another place to watch. Questioning the fight between the presidency and Kennedy Japan, incumbent Francis Asenso-Boakye has an uphill task in defeating brother of Asin Central MP Ralph Ijapong. And the battle has already taken shape with allegations by Kennedy Ijapong labeling all manner of claims on Asenso-Boakye and threatened to release even more should delegates vote for him. Back in the capital, and the Ayawaso Central constituency in the Greater Accra region will be even keener, where the Greater Accra Regional Minister and incumbent MP, Henry Korte, has it all to do with the godfather of the constituency, Sheikh Isikwe, backing his opponent, Moses Abo. Now, it's not really clear what's caused the fallout between Henry Korte and Sheikh Isikwe, but what it does create is a hot political pendulum which could swing in any direction after January 27. Even a lot more contests will unfold here on your election command center.
And now, with a few hours to the NPP parliamentary primaries for constituency where they have certain MPs, Duke Mensah Opoku of our political desk brings to you the important statistics surrounding Saturday's contest.
In the next few hours, the New Patriotic Party delegates would go to the polls in 137 constituencies across the country to vote for members of parliament in constituencies where they already have seats. Now, the election is taking place across 15 regions. The 16th region, OT region, is a region where the New Patriotic Party has no seats. 322 candidates or aspirants have been deemed qualified to contest in these polls. 17, on the other hand, have been disqualified. 41 females or women per our own count are contesting in this election, even though the party has not officially released the figures on its gender configuration. Now, over 20 government appointees and officials are contesting, seeking to make that transition from being in the executive, being in ministries, departments, and agencies, and going into the chamber of legislative politics, which is Parliament. 19 high-profile sitting members of Parliament have decided voluntarily to relinquish their seats in the House. And there are 9 former members of Parliament who are seeking to make a comeback. How will the chips fall? This is your election command center, and we'll keep you updated.
Well, let's do so on this very primaries as 19 MPP sitting MPs as at Parliament following their decision not to contest in the upcoming primaries. 9 former MPs are seeking to return after they lost their seats in previous elections. Duke Mensah Opoku has been following the development and reports.
As the MPP parliamentary primaries draws closer, aspirants are doubling up efforts to clinch the slots they firmly have their eyes fixed on. There are some former MPs who, having tasted the wine of parliamentary politics, want to stage a comeback. In the Western region, former MP from Poho, Alex Kofi Ajekum, is seeking a return to Parliament. In the Ashanti region, Collins Owusu Amankwa in Minsha North and Joseph Albert Kwam in Manson Kwanta are staging a comeback. In the Greater Accra region, Nanekwe Owusu has christened her run as the Golden Comeback in Ablekuma North. Dr. Kwabna Chumnyama in Brekum East in the Blue region is also on the roll. Still in Ashanti, Joyce Akode in Bosume Frehu, Kojo Bajiman in Asante Achim North, and Kennedy Kankam in Inshaeso are all making an attempt to return to Parliament. ACN Regional Minister Seth Kwame Champon is also making a comeback bid, this time not in Impraeso, but he is pitching camp in New Drabin South. But why do these former MPs want to return to Parliament?
They tried and tested me about 4 years ago, and also tried and tested the current MP as well. So they have the option to weigh the two and see which of them or which of us will help him.
I did the streets and gutters in Sakaman. No individual touched it. I did it single-handedly by lobbying, and I am coming to continue.
This is largely not uncharted territory. MP for Bimbela Dominic Nitewo bounced back in 2008 after he lost the seat in 2004. The late Joseph Kofiada lost the Navrongo Central seat in 2012 but bounced back in 2016.
It is an expensive venture, one that leaves losers near bankruptcy when delegates or electorates reject their message. Becoming an MP is not easy, yet many people fight tooth and nail to bear the honorable title. My colleague Evelyn Tingma in this report attempts to answer if it is worth it becoming a legislator.
In every general election, many parliamentarians leave the House while others enter, raising questions about the worth of being an MP amidst perceived high demand. David Tete Esuming was a member of Parliament for Shai Osudoku from 2005 to 2016.
When we were there was nothing like an education that would tell us how life was outside Parliament. And so there was no conscious planning of exit. When I'm even giving ex gratia at the end of the day, I even share it. I go around the various communities and tell them the happiness in Parliament and also try to at least give them some tokens. Because I have no other business than to rely on the earnings from Parliament. So I do that for them to know that I care for them. And it has been a disaster for many of us. It's just by your grace that today I'm sitting down here talking to you.
He says he wholeheartedly served his constituents, neglecting his personal welfare. He is currently relying on pension, which he says has also been mortgaged.
I'm into rice farming. Unfortunately, the rice is produced and there's no market for it. If you go to Akuse Asuchwari area, there are a lot of rice produced, there's no market. My farm, inclusive. And so that is also another burden.
The former legislator says Parliament is a wrong place to enrich oneself and urged those clamoring now to enter Parliament to have the vision of rendering their services to the people instead.
When you are given the first slip of your salary, it's then and then you get to know whether you have done the right choice or not. Because some of them were taken way ahead of what they came to meet in Parliament.
For former NP for Bunpurugu, Solomon Lamlet Bois, life after Parliament is normal. He insists being an MP is a calling, indicating he did evangelism while an MP.
I know how difficult it is to do evangelism. The MPship work is like that. You just see it as a calling. Once you see it as a calling, then you are good to go. People think that when you get there, you have to be wealthy. No. We are just servants of the people. Your duty is to make sure that you contribute to making the laws that are required for this country to blossom.
For him, it is worth being an MP.
When I was a member of Parliament, I lobbied for several projects, and even after leaving Parliament, fortunately, the party is in power. I knock at the doors of colleagues who are in government and tell them that But people need this, but people need it. Once in a while, they will tell you that, well, it's not easy because we have colleagues who are in the chamber and they haven't even gotten what they want from us. Then you will knock in as a former member of parliament. Now, once in a while, they turn back and put smiles on your face.
Dr. Hannah Louisa Bisu was MP for Tano South between 2013 and 2016. She has vowed not to return to parliament on any day of her life.
Former MPs, they die miserably, not because of anything. You see, they come out of parliament unable to save anything. Those who genuinely do their jobs. I don't see how me, Hannah, if you tell me you are giving it for me for free crime, I'll not go. Because you see, you are paying, excuse me to say, abortion bills. You are paying marriage bills. You can do all those things. Still, when it's even time for elections, that same person that you help survive, not with any official money, with some money you have, you struggle to give, will come and tell you that, pay me before I do this. What is the service? In 4 years, I 84 boreholes. I even did boreholes in the bush for farmers to do. You know, I mean, baby, I don't want it again. Not today, not tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow. I don't want it. It's so unattractive to me.
Even as national women organizer of the NDC, Dr. Hannah Bisu said life would have been unbearable for her if not for her husband. The perception that former MPs are set for life with no financial problems after Parliament is actually not the case. The MPs are overburdened while in office, resulting in poverty after Parliament. But this notwithstanding, many, including chief executives, managing directors of institutions and top government officials, are leaving their positions wanting to go to Parliament. But, as some of the former MPs would advise, a proper exit plan would suffice to reduce the misery that most former MPs go through. Evelyn Tankma, TV3 News, Accra.
An interesting report there by my colleague Evelyn Timma. Just so you know, the MPP primaries is slated for tomorrow, January 27, at Trust Your Election Command Center to bring you up to speed on happenings on that day. Away from the camp of the MPP, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has withdrawn its application for confirmation to freeze the bank account and seize assets of former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena-Dapaah. The office also dropped the case against the former minister following her failure to declare her income. Lord Eduasare reports.
The special prosecutor who was in court to drop the cases sought an audience with presiding judge Nana Brew and pleaded to approach the bench. After a brief session, the judge called for an in-chambers meeting with Kisia Jabing, Cecilia Dapaah and her husband, together with her lawyers. The Office of the Special Prosecutor communicated his dropping of his cases against the former Sanitation Minister. Justice Nana Brew then ordered him to return the seized monies and assets of Madame Abena-Dapaah and her husband within 72 hours. The OSP commenced investigations citing alleged corruption and corruption-related offences after describing over $1 million found at her residence as tainted. The case has taken several turns, including an appointment of another judge to preside over the case after the first judge went on leave. Lord Eduasare, TV3 News, Accra.
The special prosecutor has been defending his office's decision to investigate the Cecilia Dapaah car scandal despite critics warning it lacked the mandate and the subsequent decision to discontinue the case. This response from the investigative body comes in the wake of the OSP referring the outcome of its investigations to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO.
The OSP 11 months ago announced it was investigating the then Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena-Dapaah following reports that huge sums of money had been stolen from her residence by her domestic staff. Cash sums ranging from $590,000 and 2.7 million cedis were found at various residences belonging to Cecilia Dapaah. Her bank accounts were also frozen, but an attempt by the investigative body to get an approval from the court was unsuccessful. This, however, did not deter the OSP from holding on to funds and attempting to get the court to confirm its actions. The office has, however, announced it has decided to discontinue the case.
We cannot begin making conclusions on a case a week or two after commencing investigation. But after piecing together all your evidence and all the testimony and everything that you have done, something should then suggest to you. If after 7 months we did not have anything, we will just let it go. You get it? But after 7 months, I think that we should be commended that we've been able to do such extensive work and have international collaboration as part of this matter. That is to say, we left no stone unturned, and that is what is leading us to this outcome as I just announced. So once again, I will say, it is very nice to have hindsight wisdom, but we did not have the benefit of hindsight wisdom. We have arrived at the present wisdom through hard work and sheer grit.
Another matter the office has been investigating in the last few weeks is the Ghana Revenue Authority's revenue monitoring contract with Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. The presidency has since asked the audit firm KPMG to look into the matter. The OSP believes the findings of the firm could help its work.
The auditing being done by the firm KPMG would have a lot to bear on this matter. What they find, we will gladly receive and proceed further with our investigations upon their finding. Once again, collaborative work. There's no point after KPMG does all that to just ignore what they've done. So whatever they do will largely impact on the nature and focus of the investigation.
The office, meanwhile, says it will be monitoring the upcoming MPP primaries to determine if crimes bordering on vote buying will be committed.
It's not about a particular political party. To us, even if it is student-run elections, even if it is SRC elections at Legon, for us, we see them all as public, unless the election is in your house. But if a generality of an identified group of persons are engaged in a poll, we take interest in it. So maybe even an association or organization, we take interest. As I said, until the matter is firmly determined that this is public election, this is not public election, we won't sit and wait. We are still going to work in respect of that till the matter is finally determined.
Meanwhile, private legal practitioner Justice Abdullahi says handing over the case to Yoko was a step in the right direction and should have come earlier.
I think the OSP has done an honorable thing by recognizing that maybe he has some level of limitations with regards to his jurisdiction, particularly when it comes to money laundering, rather than corruption. And I think that should be commendable. My only disappointment is how far it has taken us to get to this point, which sometimes somehow appears to deepen the perception of the masses, the public in general, that the government is indeed not desirous of prosecuting or fighting corruption, and particularly when we remember what the president said about Sila Dape's case the moment she was arrested. This kind of position appears to affirm the president's comments, and then it also takes away the level of faith we have in the fight against corruption, particularly in the OSP. I think that right from the moment when the OSP, when the charges, I think last month or thereabout, I think some of the charges were to be amended to include money laundering, and money laundering is a crime that the Economic and Organized Crime Unit at EOCO has appropriate jurisdiction to fight. And I remember that early in the days when the OSP was established, it had some memorandum of understandings with some of these anti-corruption fighting institutions.
Well, if you just tuned in, you're watching the first news bulletin of the day right here on TV3. In more news this morning, after 1.5 centuries of sitting in the Museum of Ghana's former colonial masters, the Menchia Palace is preparing to receive precious ornaments looted from Kumasi during the Sir Garnet Worsley War, also known as the Sagranti War.
Event of 1874 is marked as one of the most memorable in the Ashanti history. The Battle of Amoafo on January 31 saw the Ashanti army kill 3 Europeans and wounded dozens. By February 5, the British army had taken their revenge, looting and burning the Santini's palace in Kumasi. 150 years later, ornaments stolen from the palace are returning to their original place but in the form of loan to be taken back in 3 to 6 years. Some residents in Kumasi have been sharing their views on UK's government decision to send some of the Asante's crown jewels looted during the Sagrenti War.
For me, returning the artifact is a good message. It's good in the sense that it will boost tourism in the Ashanti region here, in the Ashanti Kingdom. I'm not happy with the attachment to the message. Bringing the artifact, something that belongs to me, you are bringing it to me as a loan. It doesn't make sense.
The stolen items were for us. So how is it possible to loan it to us and then after 6 years you are taking it back? No, it's not possible. We need to take our items back because it belongs to us.
Mo abefa enu kwai se mo sai de kasa mo de ba na mo de ba mfie miensa no asa ya ba abefa ko enya adwuma ye no o mo nya adwen ti sabaka ye nsanko ade a eye dia.
In May this year, Santini will mark 25 years of his ascension onto the golden stool. These items, which are expected to be displayed during the anniversary, are expected to arrive in the country in weeks' time.
Meanwhile, chief negotiator of this agreement, Ivor Ajimanjia, says the items are being loaned to Ghana due to some legal requirements of the British government. Take a listen.
This is a legitimate question, and it has to do partly with imperial rule and the laws of antiquity that the House of Commons in the UK gave to the running of national museums and monuments since 1983. So these laws are very restrictive, and in the sense that they are, it becomes very difficult for people, even with goodwill within the British establishment, working as museum economists or curators, to look at what the law is and what they can do and what they cannot do. And that has been a big constraint for many. But for those of us, that is those who have this as a disadvantage, looking at the antecedents of history alone will not also get you the items. And we've been talking about these objects for close to half a century. We wanted them many years back. We couldn't have them. And the only leeway or the only route that we could have them back, even if for 6 years, as this one will most likely be, will be to enter into a lending agreement and then to have them for a while and then see what the strategies, the new thinking will be whilst you have them.
Personally, I'll be going to the museum if these ornaments are returned to Ghana. On that note, we end the Money News. For more news updates, you'd want to log on to our website. It's 3news.com. My name is George Quinn. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Have a good morning.